I'm an author, speaker, live and business coach, and a direct sales expert. On the King Pinyin Show, I'll introduce you to today's hottest entrepreneurs, celebrity guests, individuals who would inspire and motivate you with their stories. And as a wife and a mom, I'll show you how to balance career and family. My name is King Pinyin, and I'm here to equip, encourage, and empower lives. Hello and welcome. I'm so excited that you tuned in today. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are in the world. Well, today's show is going to be very informative. We're going to talk about things that every person out there who's striving to be an entrepreneur is going to experience along their journey. And I think I have just the best person to equip, encourage, and empower you toward your journey to entrepreneurship. She's a woman, an incredible woman for that matter. She was voted the #1 business person of the year by the state of New Jersey. Her name is Miss Marjorie Perry. Welcome to the show, Miss Marjorie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing just great.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh my goodness, where do we begin? I've been in business 22 years. This is my 22nd year that I've been in business. I started out actually as a consultant 24 years ago, where my job was to come back after working in corporate America and help other businesses start to look at entrepreneurship as a way of not only building stability, but wealth for themselves for the long term. So 20 years ago, 2 young men walked up and said, listen, we want to start a construction company. And I said, okay. So that was easy enough for me to do. I can get anybody started, get them up, do all their strategic planning for them, their budgeting, their cost analysis, look at a small business plan, et cetera, and get them going. Well, I think 6 months into the project for them, they couldn't handle it anymore, so I bought them out in 1994.
Wow.
And then the rest is history. I've been absolutely building some of the largest structures in the tri-state area for that period of time.
Wow. When you say you bought them out, what encouraged you to do that? Because construction is a typically male-dominated industry. Why did you want to buy them out?
I got to tell you the good news and the bad news about that. At the time, I saw it just as a business, not just as construction. I always see, after doing the research, where the growth sectors are going to be. And construction for women and minorities 22 years ago was huge.
Wow.
It was absolutely huge. So I said, okay, fine. After watching the guys do it, I thought I could do it real easily because I knew nothing about construction. But it's all about the perseverance at the end of the day. So I said, fine, if I can hire the right personnel to come in and run my projects, I can manage the business portion because that's where my expertise lie.
Right.
And so that's how I kind of fell into it. Really looked for that talent that could help support me around where I needed to go and making sure that my field understood what my mission statement was in order for us to make sure the customer was happy at all times.
Right. And is that what you do predominantly now, or has that been split up into different ventures?
Well, from the beginning, I've always diversified. When I left corporate America, one of the things that every major 100 company does is has more than one unit of business. So I always had more than one unit of business. So when I started my construction, I also started doing hauling biosolid waste for the city of New York. So that was my residual money that was coming in, as well as doing the construction, which is more transactional. So that was always my modus operandi. I had 3 businesses always going at the same time. And I would buy and I would repair homes, and I would either hold them or I would sell them off as I completed them.
You talked about your residual income coming in right there. That's something that I'm big and passionate about. Can you talk a little bit about residual income? Because it's a term that is not too, it's easily thrown around, but I don't think too many people understand the power behind residual income and why you would jump into it.
Well, there is no business model that you should have that doesn't have some type of residual going in. That's how you really scale your business. Without the residual, that means you have to go out and repeat the pattern over and over and over again. So it may be network marketing, may it be a 15-year contract with a federal agency, state agency, something that will give you that stability that you know that you're bringing in $1 or $2 million a year so that you can project off of whatever else you need to do. And it gives you an asset base. So when you want to go out and go to the bank and say, well, listen, you know, I have a contract that's valued at $25 million. You know, will you lend me X amount of working capital dollars? So I've always believed in that. And that's because of my corporate training that I watched other models. So let's say United Airlines, we may be flying to Tokyo, but we're also flying to Houston, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And where's our bread and butter line? So that's how you always look at a business model. And I tell people, even when they start out, they're so hungry to start a business, but they don't look at how other people were successful in business. And you can also look at a large corporation to see what their modes of operations are. Microsoft has 17 units. Wow. Apple has 17 units. And or they're doing mergers and acquisitions to make sure that they stay diversified and that they can be fluid in their residual income.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. You know, when I came out here, my main goal was to get a good job for a good company and kind of walk my way to the top of the company. And you mentioned network marketing in there. I started off as an entrepreneur in network marketing. And the thought of residual income just blew me away. And I think I'm beginning to understand the power behind residual income. But coming back to your company, did you find out that you struggle in a predominantly male-dominated industry? Did they look at you and think, oh my gosh, it's crazy?
Well, let's just correct that. I failed. Forget about struggle. It was past struggle. It was failure. You know,
how is that?
Because mission did not take off. They were not, one, accepting me. Two, I was a woman of color trying to break into a primarily Italian, Irish environment. And three, I didn't have the experience. So I had set myself up for failure. I saw the business model quicker than I understood what the ground game was going to be like. You know, I tell a lot of students coming out of college every day, I said, listen, what you learned in the classroom is not going to teach you a thing about what you're going to do on the street.
No.
So I wasn't prepared for the street. Now, the good news is that with me coming from an urban background, I knew how to survive.
Right.
So as the failures came, I was able to say, okay, can't go down that street anymore. Okay, can't go down this road anymore. And I was quick to repair my thought process so that I could keep going and keep going and keep climbing and improving on what didn't work last time. Because I could always do an assessment of what worked and what didn't work. Now, for the beginning, it was mostly what wasn't working. So I lost a lot of money in the very beginning. So it took time to really, really, really sit down and reassess, where am I going, how I'm getting there, and why did you fail?
Right.
So that I won't repeat that cycle again.
Right. Yeah, and we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to ask you about what your company does for small businesses, because I understand that you're great at getting small businesses to succeed just based on your experience. So when we come back, I want you to tell us the how-to, because there are many small business owners out there who are struggling and not knowing who to turn to for help or advice. So we're going to give them some free advice when we come back. Is that okay with you?
More than happy to.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The world can be compared to a jungle. There's always something new around the next bend or some unexpected surprise getting ready to fall on you from a tree. The rules change often and fast. There is an urgency to stay one step ahead. Concrete Jungle will help you to avoid the obstacles and jungle predators. Learn how to trust your instincts, think outside of the box, and become an achiever from celebrity authors King Pinyin, Bob Proctor, Steve Rizzo, and Mark Leader. Concrete Jungle will inspire, motivate, and give you the tools you need to conquer the world. Grab your copy today from KingPinyin.com. That's KingPinyin.com.
Welcome back to the show. Again, our guest is New Jersey's #1 business person of the year, Mrs. Marjorie Perry. Hey, Marjorie.
Hi.
Well, just before the break, we were talking about how you help companies transform or succeed in these times. Could you share a little bit about that, some of your strategies?
Well, one of the things I noticed that, and the reason why I started doing this a little bit more, it's more people were struggling unnecessarily. So that's number one. So I started a miniature boot camp style reflectiveness. One, I make them all sit down and write down their strengths and weaknesses. Let's talk about what's working and what's not working. Then they have to do a personal assessment. Not a business assessment, a personal assessment. I found that 90% of businesses do not move past go And what that means is that they fail within 2 to 3 year period. It's because they don't do a personal assessment. And what that means is that, how are you thinking? Mm-hmm. What are you complaining about?
Right.
Or what are you praising? List down how much you're praising versus complaining. Mm-hmm. That's number one tip. The second tip is that most people don't have perseverance today.
Oh, yeah.
They operate from $1 to the next dollar versus short-term planning and long-term planning. Mm-hmm. So what do you need in order to get done today, feed family, etc., and how do you start getting yourself the right people around you, even if it's volunteers, mm-hmm. to help you plan long-term strategy? Where do you want to be a year from now? Number 3, no matter how much we tell people to write down where they want to be a year, 3 years, or 5 years, they don't do it.
Yes.
They don't write it down.
Don't you wonder why?
I do not understand, because once it's written, it's kind of a guidepost that will lead you to where you need to go.
Right.
Now, it may not be the exact angle of you getting there, mm-hmm. but it certainly will be your guidepost, because every time you pick it up, oh, I didn't get that done. Because now you can put down your action items underneath there. Mm-hmm. I've got to call the dentist, I've got to call the doctor, I've got to call the shop, I've got to do something in order to know that you're moving forward. So if you're a one-person operation or a two-person operation, that will move the momentum. Put the mission statement out in front of you. Who are you serving? Mm-hmm. Put it somewhere on the kitchen table, kitchen cabinets, kitchen refrigerator, so that you can see that mission. So every time you start to decompress, you'll go in and see it. Because we're not born today with the level of perseverance that I had when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah, that is absolutely
People
true.
want instant gratification.
Yes.
How can I get here quickly? Or if they have a little bit of success, and this is my 4th tip, don't buy the hype.
Yes.
Do the same thing well every day.
Right.
Okay? No matter how much you think you're good, the minute you start thinking you're really good, that's the minute you're going to start to have failure. Because that means you're going to max out at the top.
Right.
Stay here. Thank the people for giving you the praises and keep moving back into taking the garbage out the next afternoon.
Absolutely.
And don't be frustrated about it. Be grateful that you have the opportunity to take your garbage out and turn to your door. The 6th strategy I always find. Most people are very, very weak in their emotions.
Oh, yeah.
Do not start a business if you're weak in your emotion. Get strong. Get the practice that you need under somebody else's watch, because it's not the game for the weak-hearted.
Right.
Since 2008, the economy has shifted dramatically. 90% of what you can do, somebody can do in China or India. 5 seconds flat.
And for less.
And for less. And understand what globalization has done. So people keep saying we need more jobs and more opportunities. No, we need to understand what the new trends are. Read. People don't read what the trends are. Well, I make the best cupcakes. Well, so does Susie down the street.
Yes.
And so does Barbara across town. And so does John over here. So what's going to be the differential?
Right. What's your X factor?
What's the differential? And if you don't have a wow factor, besides just thinking your cupcakes for your family is going to impact the country, then you need to think about what is the wow factor. Then the next thing, how do you build that momentum? Practice getting on YouTube and doing something funny and hilarious and getting your hits on it so people can find you.
Right.
That's the new way of getting your business out there. You don't have to have the money to hire a marketing campaign or a publicist or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Practice with what you can do for moderate pricing.
Right.
Or for free.
Right.
Okay? What do you do for volunteerism? Get your word out. Do things for free. Give it away sometime. Spiritually, that's the best way to start getting your momentum. Makes you feel good, makes the other person feel even better. So those are some of my tips for how to grow a business.
Those are great. And they sound so basic. It sounds
they are
like
basic.
Something that everybody should know. Why do you think people do not do that? Even though they sound so basic, what is it that's stopping them?
Mentally, they stop themselves. Most people will sabotage themselves in 15 seconds flat. That's what they do. They have a big conversation, but they don't have the confidence that goes with it. Because once, and the other thing that I find that's really remarkable today, most people cannot deal with constructive criticism.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And, you know, I grew up in an era where constructive criticism is the only way to grow. Now today you have to soft pedal a lot of things that's said to someone.
Yes.
So yes, they want to make it bigger than what it is. And I'm saying you need to look at some Buddha reading It's like if you were a novice when you took out the garbage in the morning, you were a master in the afternoon, take the garbage out.
Yes.
We blow our egos up way too fast before we have really proven ourselves.
Right.
I don't know how we fix that, but we have to keep getting the message out there so people understand. Bring the ego back, because ego is just fear turned inside out.
Right.
That's all ego is.
Right.
Come back. Fail a little bit. Fail into success, I tell people.
Fail forward.
Oh, I'm failing. Good. Good. Now, get back up. What did you learn from the failure? How can you really, really stroke yourself now so that you won't go down that road again? Good, you failed. People are more terrified of failure today than any time I've ever seen in my life. So that's my big conversation back to you on that. I don't know how to fix that. But what I am committed to doing is continue to share that. And when they come to my boot camp, I get a big box of tissue. Cry all day, cry all night. You done? Let's go back. Let's go back to the table. You done? Let's come back to the table. Because it's not about hurting your feelings. It's about helping you to grow. Exactly. And that's the differential.
Right. In Africa, we always say, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child.
That's right.
And even though we've talked our egos up so much, it's amazing how fragile we still are.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
And when we come back from the break, I want to ask you about the importance of having mentors and coaches as you grow a business, because I think that when you start buying your own hype, you stop seeking advice and encouragement and direction from the people who have been there and walked through that path. So I want you to shed some light on that when we come back from the break.
Absolutely.
Stay with us.
In today's business world, success is an art form. You must continue to broaden your knowledge base to keep up with the latest trends, strategies, and ideas in order to succeed. Author, speaker, coach, and direct sales expert King Pinyin has co-authored in an inspiring new book titled Mastering the Art of Success, along with celebrity authors Les Brown, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, and many others. The authors featured in this book were specifically chosen to help you create winning habits and acquire the vital information you need to stay competitive. Reading what these authors have to share will be time well spent, and you'll pick up vital new skills. You will also learn how to make smarter decisions, enhance what works, and eliminate what does not. Each chapter in Mastering the Art of Success is like a mini coaching session that will help you achieve your personal and organizational goals. Remember, you are the author of your life. You have the power to unlock your potential, and Mastering the Art of Success will show you how. For more information and to order your copy of Mastering the Art of Success, please visit kingpinyin.com. That's kingpinyin.com.
Welcome back from the break. I hope you're having a wonderful time. This has been a very, very insightful conversation, and I'm just having many aha moments and really doing a little dance in here. You guys missed it during the break. I actually was doing a little dance because those points were so good. But coming back to Miss Perry, I want to ask you about the importance of having coaches and mentors as you grow a business.
Well, I say it this way. The day you don't need advice is the day you need to stop your business. Period.
True.
So I look at coaching and mentoring two ways. Are you going to listen to the mentor? And are you going to be coachable?
Yes.
Okay? Because it's great to have a mentor and you don't follow through on what they tell you to do. Sometimes the metaphor, I have a mentor and I have a coach, but are you absolutely executing it?
Right.
What happens? Are you still using your top mind, or are you using your, I already know that, because you've reached a certain point.
Right.
After 22 years in business, I have not only an executive coach, I have a mentor, and I have an advisory board that keeps me solid and grounded. How am I doing, folks? And I need to be open to the constructive criticism and feedback I'm going to get. My mission statement recently needed to be updated. And I said, it's just not feeling right. So I saw that one of the top business leaders here in our country, who happens to be here in New Jersey, his organization, he rewrote the whole thing for him because I was coachable and malleable, even though we sit on the same top board for the state of New Jersey for the governor. Same board. Right. Didn't matter. I knew his processes was much larger than mine, and I need to scale to the next level. And he's already magnificently doing that with something like 6,000 employees.
Wow.
How do we move forward? How do I take it to the next level? First thing he said, stop calling this a business. Call it an organization. Just a little tweak of wording. matters. And that's because I'm still open at this stage of the game to coaching and hearing what's next. Right. Take leadership classes. I'm always at Harvard. I'm always up at Tuck School at Dartmouth. Hear what's next on how to scale. Here's the impression that's coming next, because they're bringing in people from all over the world that sees the trends. It's worth the $4,800. It's worth the $5,000. It's worth the $15,000.
The $20,000.
Whatever it takes for you to sit in that room with other top mind leaders who are paying attention to the trend. You will not succeed unless you do that.
Right. You touched on leadership courses. What's your take on the 21st century leader? Who's that person going to be?
They're going to be able to come back to customer intimacy. Before, I'd say the late 1999, et cetera, early 2000, we were more profit-driven. Now we're going to be more customer-focused, and we're going to flip that around. How do you retain that customer? How do you look at the value chain and add on to it, because they value so much as a vendor that they can trust you, that you'll already perceive what they need before you ask for it? That's a great leader today. How do you invoke the people in your organization to give you feedback? How am I doing? I'm your boss, but how am I doing? So that you can continue to grow through it. So the industrial type leader is fading out, as you can see why we have so much division in our country right now with the, it's my way or the highway. That's over, but we're moving more towards that conciliatory kind of conversation. And we're getting back to basics of what was like back in the 50s and the 60s. We work as a team from the leader down. I don't need to have a $4 million salary and you're making $20,000 a year. Let's see how we can blend that a little bit better. Instead of talking about the C-suite, the doors are open for everybody to come up and talk to me in just the suites.
Right.
That's where I see the trends going for the future.
How about the place of the woman? Is there many aspiring women CEOs out there and entrepreneurs? Where do they stand? What advice? You've seen the author that did the book for Lean In. She's with Facebook. Yes.
Okay. And she's so correct on a few things. Women are scared to lean in. They're one of the most anchoring, powerful forces on the planet, but they're still a bit afraid to lean in. They will let their emotions get in the way of their greatness. Yes. I don't know what it is, maybe because I've been in construction so long and maybe I'm a little tough around the ears. I don't know. But at the end of the day, women need to continue to lean in. I think that's just an absolutely powerful title that she came up with. And get over the excuses of why you're not great. You were born great. Now you're just working on how to seed it, plant it, flower it, put a little water on it so that it just blossoms. You were born great. Own that. Women are phenomenal. Women are just phenomenal because they anchor things.
Yes. And when you talk about women being phenomenal, that is so true. But in a corporate environment and sometimes even in the business environment, the men tend to resist a female leadership, especially a strong woman. And more so if she's a black woman. The angry black woman gets thrown around, carelessly.
But here's my thought. This is when you need to do an assessment of yourself. There might be time for you to move on and be in an environment that will let you be who you are.
Right, absolutely.
Don't get caught up in, I need to follow this path. They always say, if something keeps failing, it's not the place you need to be.
Oh, yes.
Redirect.
Yes, I have learned that.
Redirect.
God wants to move you.
Right, you keep going up against the same wall. Yes. Okay, maybe you will not become the CFO of a giant corporate 500, 100 company.
Right.
But you know that right away. You either have the people that's gathered around you in that organization, whether you're black or a white woman, and moving you forward, or you don't.
Right.
Because they're going to spot you immediately, and they're going to start grooming you and making you ready for that C-suite opportunity. If that's not happening after 5 to 6 years, look at doing it differently. Test the waters.
Right.
But you need that ability to trust your instinct. We don't listen to that little mind. The still small voice tells you all the time, it's time, but then we're afraid, or we have 5 children, or we have this, or we have to do that. And I understand those things are distractions.
Right.
That's why it's better to kind of maybe hold on to family right away. Maybe you might want to be married, but you may not want to be fully a mother at this moment.
Right.
If you're deciding that's a direction you want to go in. Or you take your home-based business after you leave corporate America, plan it while you're there, and start thinking about how you can do both things at the same time. Now, it takes a strong person. I'm not saying it's for everybody, for entrepreneurship. But at the end of the day, it's perseverance, determination, and a whole lot of knowledge about who you are that will take you to where you want to go.
Who are some of the mentors in your life?
Oh, gosh, mentors in my life. Dr. Tommy Joyner is one of my mentors. She's like 82. Don't tell nobody I said that. I had a wonderful, wonderful male mentor out of Business School of Tuck that still supports me to this day on conversation. I have a few women that are doing some powerful things here in the state. They're presidents of banks. Mm-hmm. They are phenomenal to just chat with. I have a wonderful woman that I met who was senior VP for one of the top banks here, is now out doing her own creative coaching. She is phenomenal. So she keeps me abreast of what to focus on and what to do. Mm-hmm. That is just absolutely, I mean, this woman is just incredible. And I'd probably say my two older brothers, they were great mentors because my parents didn't do the college thing. Mm-hmm. So they were more like, well, let's have fried chicken on the weekend. You'll feel better on Monday morning. I'm like, well, I need $1 million by Monday. I'm like, oh, how are we going to do that? Okay. Thanks for the chicken, Mom, but I've got to figure this out. So they were the support structure. So I don't think I will ever tire of meeting someone that I can learn from. Right. I thirst for knowledge on a continuum basis.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
When you thirst for knowledge.
I thirst for knowledge on a continuum.
Way to put it.
I absolutely do.
Thirst for knowledge.
I thirst for it.
Yes, that is so true.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about being on the New Jersey State Economic Development Board. I know Governor Chris Christie appointed you to that board. I want to talk to you about that.
Sure.
Stay with us. Hey guys, we're at the University of Maryland for our Five Links regional event with our co-founder, Mr. Jeb Tyler. We just had an amazing event. It's incredible how much fun we have while building the business. It's so good to be able to make money with people whom you trust, people whom you love. And this gentleman right here is the brain and the visionary behind Five Links. It was incredible, and I'm looking forward to equipping, encouraging, and empowering more people with the wealth machine called Five Links.
We just had an amazing regional event here in Maryland. King Pinyin running it, unbelievable. We are creating so many success stories all over the country. 17 cities today, over 600 people in Maryland. If you're not in Five Links, take a look. Let's join together.
Welcome back. I hope you're having a good time, because I am. I'm learning so much from this phenomenal woman. And now I understand why she's the business person of the year in the state of New Jersey. And she's definitely somebody you will want to connect with. And she's going to tell you how to do that in a few minutes. So I know you were voted to the board by Governor Chris Christie. I love him, by the way. I think he's a phenomenal man. Mm-hmm. What does that mean, being on the board of the Economic Development Authority for New Jersey? Well,
actually, I want to tell you what the direction was. Sheila Oliver, our Speaker of the House, actually nominated me to Chris Christie. He did not know me. The governor did not know me at the time. He looked at my resume, reviewed it, and I was selected and nominated to sit on the EDA board, the Economic Development Authority board. It is the most powerful board in the state of New Jersey because we look at all the incentives and loans for everything that's happening for development in the state of New Jersey. We are the go-to team for the governor to make business happen, to make job growth happen, and to make incentives really palatable to keep businesses who are thinking about relocating out of the state of New Jersey. It is, I don't know what I thought I was getting myself into. But it's nothing like being at the table.
Wow.
I tell everybody, you don't know anything until you're at the table.
True. I agree.
So stop talking.
But you must qualify to be
at the table. So that's when you do all your preparatory steps early on, because people don't want to do the work.
Yes.
So when the call comes, you're ready to go.
Right.
So I was very, very fortunate and blessed to be ready to accept that nomination because, you know, it's a little nerve ending. You know, as you know, our governor tells it like it is. It's either yay or nay, or you got to go. You know, he doesn't mince words about that, and that part of him, you know, you can truly respect. You know, he's a man of what he says he is. I wasn't intimidated by that, but this was the next level of really looking at financial opportunities for different companies. So what I chose to do, and this is for business, anybody starting a business, whatever, I stayed in my lane on that board. There's some people that are great at doing ratios in their head in 5 minutes. There's other people that's very good at looking at the little minor detail. I'm excellent at reading strategy today for what it might impact for tomorrow. So I got comfortable in my lane so that I become an asset to this board, because I'm going to call on the things that they may not necessarily want to talk about. That's my strength on the board. So it's been very, very powerful for me. And it gives you a stronger voice because you are sitting at the table with such top leaders.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's an honor to
it is.
sit there to serve.
It is. Right.
I also know you have a book coming out. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, my book is called Think and Lead Like a CEO, The 7 Strategies to Success. And I talk about my journey under each one of them, you know, failing forward, how to stand tall, how to do service at the next level, what you're giving like, you know, what makes it work and what doesn't make it work. And if you follow these 7 steps and you fill in the gaps that I have here, you'll be able to start creating your own blueprint on how you want to move your business forward. But you want to think and lead like a CEO in business and personal.
Wow.
Because the personal is just as impactful as the business. If this is distracting, then this is going to halt you in what you're trying to do for your business.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have the right partner? Do you have the right situations at home? Are your kids baby kids at the end of the day? Or do they understand what mommy and daddy's trying to do?
Yes.
That has to be a holistic place to go for you to be able to be a successful business leader in today's environment.
I'm definitely going to buy that book. When is it coming out?
It's coming out September 2013.
I will be in line waiting for the book to come out.
Thank you.
I know it's going to be packed with so much knowledge and things that's going to help entrepreneurs like myself to succeed. And I want to thank you so much. This has been an incredible conversation, and I cannot wait for the book to come out.
Thanks so much for having me. Thanks, King. It's great.
Thanks for watching. My name is King Pinyin, and I'm here to equip, encourage, and empower lives.